welcome our first candidate for Lake County Supervisor election, Ms. Margie.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the South Lake Tea Party for allowing us all to be here today. My name is Margie Eaton. I am running for Supervisor of Elections. I have lived in Lake County for 40 years, and I have watched over the last 12 years the difficulties that the state of Florida has had with the voting, starting in South Florida. And I know that we have someone in office here who seems to think that problem's not in Lake County. I call it denial, because it is here. It may not be as big as it is in South Florida, but we need to pay attention to it. We need to get somebody in there who's going to be engaged in the office and get these things right to make sure that everybody's vote's counted as long as you're allowed to vote. If you are not, you should not be voting. I graduated from Lake Sumter with an associate's degree in legal assisting. I got my bachelor's degree in management with a focus on human resources. And I currently work as a judicial assistant for a judge in Orange County. And I believe it's my strong legal background that makes me the best candidate for this position, because this job is defined by Florida statute. And you have to be able to read the statute, understand it, and apply it where it counts. So I want to thank you all for coming today. I hope we're able to answer your questions efficiently. If not, come see us afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The second candidate for Supervisor election is Mr. Keith Farner.
Good afternoon. Keith Farner, candidate for Supervisor of Elections. My campaign is about the future of the Office of Supervisor of Elections and the battle against the progressive movement in our country. We're very blessed that we live in a conservative county, but this does not reflect our state. We must get active and get the conservatives out to vote. My conservative values and leadership ability are proven. I've been elected to the water authority for 6 years now. After 2 years, I was vice chairman, and 2 years later, I was chairman. In that 6 years, we cut your military 28%. We cut the budget over $1 million, and we are still getting the job done. I can't think of any city in our county that has not benefited from our matching grants programs to deal with water retention issues. The city of Minneola has been a good partner, city of Claremont, all of them, good partners. I ask for your vote and your support. I will do all I can to battle the issues with voters in our county, and our state, and our country. The defeat of the progressive movement is possible only through the efforts of conservative vigilance. We must elect conservatives that will be courageous when confronted with the overstepping authority of big government. And I'm going to have a quote from John Curran. The condition upon which God has given liberty to man is eternal vigilance, which condition, if he break, servitude is at once the consequence of his crime and the punishment of his guilt. We have to take a stand. I'll do everything I can in the Office of Supervisor of Elections to ensure that not only your votes count, but the people that are illegally registered to vote will not have that ability to vote in our state and our country. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Farner. Our third candidate is Mr. Paul Richardson. Welcome, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you. Thank you, South Lake Tea Party, Tea Party, and South Lake. I wanted to really give you some information on myself. My name is Paul Richardson, born and raised here in Florida, lived in Orange County, Worcester County, and now Lake County, and I've fallen in love with this beautiful county, especially South Lake. I'm a lifelong conservative, and I do have a degree in network administration and hardware from Florida Technical College, and that will come forward later. After the 2009 elections and the Tea Party started coming around, I said to myself, I'm going to get involved, and I'm just not going to be a face in the crowd. I'm going to be getting involved in my community. So I joined the South Lake Tea Party. Then I joined the Lake County Republican Executive Committee. I'm currently a representative on Lake County's other coordinating council for District 1. And the reason why I'm running the supervisor elections is because then I want to bring us into the future. Right now, at the polls, we're using those big, bulky paper ballots, and we pre-print them. So if we don't use them all, we throw them away. Which I think is both a waste of money and paper. What I want to do is move us to electronic vote with the paper receipt for both the voter and for the county. This will satisfy Florida's paper trail laws, use less paper, and it will save us money in the long term. If elected, I will only serve 2 terms. I don't want to be one of those lifelong politicians, 90 years old in a wheelchair, still running for an office. Not to name any names, but there's, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so that's why I'm running for supervisor elections. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a series of questions now that were set up by the 912 Tea Party. Our first question will be to Mr. Farner first. And it is, what specific actions or steps would you take to protect the accuracy of voter registration?
You have to enforce the law. This office is, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, but everything in that office is prescribed by law that you have to do, the duties and responsibility. You can't deviate. Forms have to be filled out, papers have to be filed, reports have to be made available to the public, but as far as making sure that voter registration rolls are accurate, you have to follow the law. The thing about that is, and I think there's some issues have been brought up about people that no longer live in Lake County are still on the voter rolls. That's true. If you don't legally change your address, you stay on those voter rolls. All right, so it's very difficult. I think this is what the future is going to bring, that there's going to have to be some reforms done, and the laws are going to have to be updated, and I'd like to be a part of that process. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson, any questions?
Basically, what Keith Farner said, I would also like to reach out to the community through the vote. It's a good program that has launched and is getting on speed and it's becoming more and more efficient at identifying people on the voter rolls that are not supposed to be there. So, follow the law, get community involvement, and make sure that we're doing everything we need to do as supervisor elections. Like you said, this is not a policy office, this is a supervisory. It is dictated by Florida law. So we have to make sure that we keep up with the law and follow it. Excuse me. And yeah, there you go.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Eaton, same question.
Well, we all know how important it is to not have a vote diluted by people who do not have the right to vote, who is not a legal citizen in this country. We have, in the statute, there are certain places that provide the supervisor with lists. That would be like vital statistics, the clerk of courts, that we know if there's any new convicted felons that should be taken off the rolls. And I'm sure y'all have been watching the news in the last 2 weeks. We constantly have with our governor difficulty in he's trying to get the supervisors access to the Homeland Security, which I think is an excellent idea. Limited, we don't need to know everything about them. We need to know if they're a U.S. citizen. If they're not and they're on our list, take them off. But there's also other resources that aren't mandated by the statute that I think we should be able to use, and the statutes don't say that we can't, and that would be the property appraiser's office. When a piece of property sells, that's a sure sign somebody's moving, you know? Send out a notice, let them know we've received notice that you have sold your property. Are you going to still be in Lake County, Florida? But it also means there's a possibility that there's somebody new moving in. And you can send them information about registering in case they're registered someplace else and they need to change theirs. So it's important to use not only the resources provided in the statutes, but to also go out and try to find the resources that not everybody is thinking of to get those voter rolls updated and accurate. We've got a large job ahead of us because right now we have 192,000 plus voters, so it's not going to be an easy task to get it cleaned up. But I think if we stay on point, get it cleaned up, and keep working on it, not every 2 or 4 years, but, you know, keep working on it, then we can maintain those rolls accurately. Thank you.
Thank you. The second question will start with Mr. Richardson, and it is there a need to improve customer service for the residents of Lake County at the supervisor's office? If so, what would you recommend?
Wow. That's a good question because the supervisor's elections office has been very nice to me. So they've actually been very good. But like I said, customer service starts with efficiency. And that's why I'm running for this office. Again, we're using those big, bulky paper ballots. We're throwing them away. And I think that's a waste of money, taxpayer, hard-earned money. So it's time to move up to the 21st century in that regard. Customer service also can improve the website. Supervisor Selections website looks like it was made back in the 1990s with Notepad. And trust me, I built websites with Notepad. It's why it's efficient, why it's a good program to use. We can do better. I also want to make sure we have a system in place where you can go to our website, in your address, and get all your representatives down from U.S. House to the Florida Legislature to the local Lake County offices. Right now, you have to go to like some 15 different websites to figure out who your representatives are. I think this one we can team up with Lake County's GIS department to get this done with. So that's another way we can improve customer service through the improved quality of getting your representatives down to one place instead of having to go to 15 different other places. And one thing I also want to do is secret. Sorry. Pardon me a little bit. I just came back from surgery, so give me a second. But one thing we got to do, and Margie Eaton brought this up one time, is I'll let her maybe talk like that. That's what I want to do as supervisor elections, basically.
Okay, Ms. Eaton, go ahead and address that.
Okay, customer service is what you all demand in your supervisors of elections office. The biggest thing that I have found in working with them as a candidate is the fact that it seems to be one person that's in charge of one job. And if they're out to lunch, I went with someone to get a list of their precincts. The lady that does the list is out to lunch, she'll have to come back. I was amazed by the fact there's one person in this office that can create a list of a precinct. I think cross-training within the office is essential. I think making sure that people are doing their job and it's not being duplicated because that wastes money, it wastes time. I think when I get into the office, is making sure there's a smooth transition. You, as the residents of Lake County, should not know, there should not be a little bump in the road of somebody new coming in. We've got to make sure that the people who work there are being trained on the new equipment. There is some that's being tried by different counties. Lake County is not trying them. I don't know why, because I don't like to be the person that lets somebody else make the decision. So you need to make sure that everybody in that office is capable of doing the next person's job, because if something happens to somebody, that part of the job, that part of the office can't stop. And that goes as high as the supervisors of elections. Because, you know, you get by car on the way to work, guess what? That office still has to open and it still has to function. So I think it's very important to make sure that the people cross-train, jobs not duplicated, and make sure that we listen to you and have the ability for you to let us know what we're doing wrong and what we're not doing efficiently enough so that we can take care of the issues that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Farner. dollars are being spent effectively in the supervisor's office?
Well, it goes back again to customer service and not duplicating the same job over and over by the same person or different people. The budget for the supervisor's office is not one of the larger ones in Lake County, but I believe the county commissioners asked everyone to cut by 5%. I believe it can be done. I see things, stuff I get in the mail. You know, maybe we should try to see if people want to provide their email addresses to not have so many things mailed out. See if they'll have it, you know, sent on their emails. I mean, there's different ways that you can try to save money. Everybody in Lake County has to do it. And I think once you get in there and see how things are running, then you can say, enough, we're going to stop that because we're duplicating the same thing. We need to start working here and provide better service. I know they have, they're allowed to choose their hours for the early voting. I know Ms. Stegall keeps the early voting places open 12 hours. The presidential primary, I drove around to some of these early voting places just to see how many people are there. And all but one, I think I saw nobody there voting. So I think maybe you need to rethink how many, hours you keep them open. Maybe, stack the hours a little bit. I mean, just simple things like that, because it is staff that has to stay there that you're paying, and we've got to pay attention to saving money in Lake County so that we can spend more time trying to get the illegal voters off of the voting rolls. Thank you.
Mr. Farner.
Of course, budget's always a concern. Like I said, I was on the water, I'm current trustee on the water authority. I was vice chairman and chairman in that 6 years, but I've been on the water authority. We've cut your millage rate 28%. We've cut the budget over $1 million. It's always on my mind about how to get more production with less money. So that's a very, very important issue. The thing that's interesting about the supervisor of elections office is there's not really a millage rate involved in that office. It's funded by the county. You submit your budget every year. So if you look at their budget over the past 4 or 5 years, it goes up and down according to the office's needs. So if there's a need for more equipment, you have to budget for that equipment, and it gets approved by the county. The majority of her budget, just like the sheriff's office, is employee salaries. There's some mail involved. It's a record-keeping operation. So it's always a concern. I think our staff are paid well. I do not want to cut staff and sacrifice service, but at the same time, that's something you need to look at once you're in that position, that you can make that decision. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson, same question.
We can all talk about how we can cut the budget short term, but I'm the only one talking about efficiency long term. Again, we're using those big, bulky paper ballots, the polls. They're pre-printed, and they're thrown away, but we're not using them. We don't use them, which I think is a waste. Want to get the electronic vote with the paper receipt for both the voter and for the
office of the supervisor of elections, I think is one of these that on the future can make a tremendous impact in our country. Voter registration fraud is rampant in our country now. We heard our guest speaker say that 115%, or was it 119% of the Democrats voted in that recall election. That's right. That's right. When you can walk into a driver's license office and you're legally entitled to a driver's license, they ask you to register to vote. You can be a legal resident in this country and have a driver's license. That does not give you the right to vote in our country. Now we have problems at the federal level that we have a progressive government that is refusing to enforce the law. They're basically giving the green light for illegal voters to go out and vote. That is a deportable offense in our country, to vote illegally. Now we have an attorney general that refuses to enforce the law. We got issues, we got problems, and it's only the beginning. When you see Bill Clinton, if you get on Wikipedia and he's signing legislation to make it easier for people to register to vote, and you see Cloward and Pittman standing behind him, the architects of the progressive movement in this country, it sends up a tremendous red flag. But again, my name is Keith Farner. Thank you very much. I hope to remember.
In Lake County, in Florida schools, they have to go paperless by, what, 2015? And so why can't we become more efficient in our elections as well? And that's why I'm running. I'm running to move us into the 21st century. I'm not running because I want to be a career politician. In fact, I'm promising only to serve 2 terms as supervisor elections, and by the end of my 2nd term, I will have this fully implemented, if elected. And I'm not running for me, and I'm not running just because. I'm running for a reason. And that reason is to move us into the 21st century. Now, you may not agree with that. It's fine. But that's why I'm running. And I hope you join me in also in moving us to the 21st century. And voter fraud is also a big deal. And I also hope to keep an ever-vigilant eye on voter fraud and voter registration fraud. It's a big problem. Statewide, and here in a small degree here in Lake County. So hopefully we'll be able to get this done and move us into the 21st century. Thank you. And again, my name is Paul Richardson.
Thank you.
My name is Margie Eaton. I am the Vote for Me signs that you see. I am running because I'm passionate about the vote. I have been voting since the time I was old enough to vote, and an election came along. And it is so important that my vote gets counted, as it is with you, and gets counted correctly. Before I filed my paperwork, I went to the Florida Supervisors Conference down in down south in Palm. I don't know where it was, and I sat there for 3 days and watched 67 supervisors complain and do absolutely nothing when they were asking for some suggestions. I want to be the person to go up to Tallahassee, which is where you have to go to get things changed, because it's mandated by Florida statute, and there are certain things within that office, most things in the office, that you just can't go in and change. You can't change that we're using paper ballots, but they do have a system that Sumter County, Volusia County is using called EVID. It's called Electronic Voter ID, where you swipe your driver's license and your ballot, prints out. That would save the paper. I think it's great. I talked to the supervisor in Sumter County. It is expensive. So we need to wait to see what those counties think as far as is the money spent going to offset the money that we're going to save. But the only way to know is to try these things. I want to be the person to go up to Tallahassee, try to get things changed. I want to go up to Tallahassee to try to give this office access to the Homeland Security so we can find out easily enough if the person is a United States citizen or not. I believe I'm the person that can do that, and I thank you so much today for coming. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, when you go to vote, you'll look at the big races, the sheriff, the county commission, the president, you know, but then you start looking, you have all of these other things on there.